What is up, family? It's your boy D coming right back at you with another one. Right now, we're back in the studio and BandPass bills are back on the menu. So, what do we have here? If you guys remember, I did have a 6x9 Tower Series build, and this is going to be the base of that. These are the 4th order over here on your right, and this is the 6th order over here on your left. And in the middle right here, if you're wondering what that is, anyone who's seen some of my previous video when I demoed like speakers or whatever the case, that's just a manual setup that I have here in my home. It's a simple amp with an RCA connection going to, it can connect to anything, to your phone, to your Walkman, to your iPod, whatever the case may be. And it has a simple LiPo battery connected to the back. That's one that I actually jerry-rigged myself. And it's connected here is a power supply. It has a simple on and off button to it. And that's pretty much it. You run the leads to whatever enclosure that you have, and you can run this setup in your house straight up off the grid. You don't have to worry about any of the lead acid batteries that I've seen some people hooking up in their houses. I mean, it gets the job done, but that's kind of dangerous. But hey, I'm not an expert in all this. Moving on. So what we have here up first is the 4th order BandPass. As you can see, it does have an exterior port here. I did not really design it to be this way. What ended up happening is that I did have originally the 2-inch port, as you can see here on the 6th order BandPass. But I'm gonna be honest with you, there is so much port noise coming from these things. The turbulence coming out of them is horrible, and it was even worse for the 4th order BandPass for some reason. So I experimented around a little bit. I had this cardboard tube laying around the house. It's a 4-inch. So I said, well, let me put that in there. I punched the numbers in. I can get 7 inches to tune this thing the way I want it to. But of course, unfortunately, the 7 inches of tube would not fit all the way inside of the enclosure because of the height of the magnet. The height of the magnet on this thing is so massive. I hope you guys can see this dividing line right here. This is actually the floor of this chamber right here, of the ported chamber. And the 6x9 actually sits here, but the magnet, if you guys can remember from the visuals, are all the way up here. So there was no way for me to put a 7-inch port all the way in without bumping into the magnet. So I did run into that issue, and that's why it's sticking out about 4 inches here. So what do I have here? In my setup, I'm going to do it exactly the same way that I did it the last time. And the last time, the way that I did it was I used this little application right here. It's a simple tone generator, and it simply just allows you to play certain frequencies to your subs. And this is how I test for port tuning and enclosure tuning. This is how I test for it. So right now, I'm going to give you guys a sweep. I hope you guys can see that. It's going to be from 20 hertz all the way to, it's going to be from 100 hertz all the way down to 20 hertz. And I'm going to see exactly where this thing is peaking at and what it can do, and kind of like give you guys a visual of what it is this enclosure can do. So I'm going to hit the start button and let you guys enjoy. Here goes. And that's 20 hertz. All right, I'm going to run this for you guys one more time so that you guys can get another taste of the sweep. Wow, I did not ask that to do anything. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm gonna stop it right here, And as some of you guys who probably have on a good pair of headphones or playing this over a home entertainment system or desktop speakers, as you probably have just heard, this thing seems to peak at 60 and 30, but it seems to be relatively flat when you're talking in between, I would say, 40 and from about 40 to about the mid to high 50s. It's pretty flat. You don't get that burst of energy that comes when you're at 60 hertz or at 30 hertz, and it kind of like, and not even 30 hertz to be honest with you. I would say around 35 hertz is where it really do a lot of its low end business, and around 60 hertz is where it does most of its high end business. So we're going to give a manual sweep of this. So we're just going to start it here at 23. And these low frequencies, a lot of you guys are probably going to have to listen to this across like I said, a good pair of headphones or some decent desktop speakers or home entertainment system, and you can get the full effect of this. So I'm going to increase the frequency. 27, 28, 29, that's 30. And it sounds decent at 30, but watch 35. Starts to flatten out. All of these are sounding just about the same. About 40 all the way up to about 50 sounds about the same. So that's probably a flat response right there. Until it gets to around 60. 56. 56 is another sweet spot. Watch this. And in case you guys are wondering about the settings of the amplifier, I do have the amplifier low pass filter set at around 20 hertz. I don't want this thing to bottom itself out. It wasn't meant to do 20 hertz anyway, so you don't want to damage it. It was doing a few, I know some of you more experienced guys are going to notice that it was actually unloading at some points, and that's because I had to actually tune this thing a little bit higher as far as the gain settings. I set the gains for 150 watts at the rear of the amplifier, and it sounded okay, but I did notice by increasing the gain just a little bit, I set it for 200 instead of 150, which is its RMS rating. And its peak rating is actually at 300. So I said, well, 200 is a little bit out of the ballpark for its RMS setting, but 200 is well within its peak setting. So that's what I set the gains at. But as some of you more experienced guys will notice, at some of those frequencies, it actually was unloading and I had to adjust the volume. But enough of that. What I did want to point out about the amplifier settings is that I do have the high pass filter. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I mean, the low pass filter is actually at, I got to turn all the way up, so there really is no low pass filter. The subsonic filter is what I was talking about earlier, which I do have set at 20 hertz. And that's just, a little bit of protection. You don't want to damage it. After all, it is a 6x9. Moving on. What we're going to do next is I'm going to hook up the 6-order BandPass, and I'll be right back at you guys.